Before I begin, can I just point out or just say that you don't need to watch this video for reasons that I'll come on to in a minute. There's a lot more interesting things to watch on the internet. I don't know, Harry Hill's TV Burp. This is going to be more like Petrolblog's Fleet Burp, to be fair. I'm doing this video partly for a bit of therapy. Shut the gate. Partly because it is, well, this car, this one you see here, is causing a bottleneck. It's causing a jam. It's a little bit like those camper vans that break down on the A30 in the summer holidays. It's getting in the way. It needs to be moved. But I don't mean move on. I don't mean sell. I'm going to try and keep this really short and punchy. I recorded this video, an original version of this video, a couple of hours ago in the rain, which kind of suited the somber mood. But it all came across a bit funereal. But I looked at it and I thought, nah, I wouldn't watch that. I definitely would have watched Harry Hill. So I'm doing it again. I'm going to try and keep the tempo. I'm going to try and keep it a bit more upbeat, even though, as the title suggests, I have fallen out of love with the Xsara VTS, and I hate having to say that, because I think if I asked you to name 3 cars that you most associate with the blog or the channel, I think hopefully you'd say Citroën, Camry, maybe the Xsara VTS in Claudia Schiffer yellow. This has been a bedrock of the channel and the blog for 10 years. I bought this car in May 2016, and I cannot believe it's been 10 years. And I still can't believe I've fallen out of love with it. I need to fall back in love with this car, which is why I'm doing this video, because I need to rekindle the love, because it's having an effect on the entire fleet. There's a mixture of emotions attached with this car. Guilt, shame, disappointment, lots of negative emotions, I guess. The problem is, I look at this car now and I think of how much it's cost me to get to this stage, bearing in mind it hasn't got a current MOT. And I look at it and I just see failure. I spent far too much money on it. It's quite tatty, as you can see from the roof, which has gone from dandruff to basically sun-bleached. There's not much paint left, really. And it's quite obvious when you look at it on top of here. And when it's running brilliantly, I don't mind. I can put up with it, because when you're sat in the car, and look at the colour differences as well. When you're sat in the car enjoying it, I don't really care what it looks like on the outside to a certain extent. Oh, it does look good though, doesn't it? I bought this car in May 2016. It had 39,000 miles on the clock. It's now done 45,000 miles. And you'll remember, if you're a regular to the channel, that it took me 3 years to find this car. I set up an eBay watch list for Xsara VTS. It had to be phase 1. It had to be Claudia Schiffer yellow. And it took 3 years for the right car to come up. And actually I missed out on it originally because the seller changed his mind. And as you know, the Xsara VTS is essentially the Citroën version of the Peugeot 306 GTI 6, 5 gears rather than 6, but fundamentally they are the same cars, just very different bodies, and in this situation a very different colour. And what's nice about this one is I know a lot of its life story. I know who bought it new in March 2000. I know who owned it from 2002 until 2015. That's 13 years. I know the lady paid £5,500 for it, plus a £3,000 part exchange allowance for her Hyundai Coupe. So this car was up for £8,500 at Tanfield Citroën in Horsham. I've got the bill of sale, and she obviously liked it. Well, there's obviously a Citroën in the family, because if you look on Google Street View, there's also a Citroën XM Estate on the driveway back in the period, and now it's a Citroën C3, so they're clearly Citroën fans. And up until 2020, I used it predominantly for just weekend use. I never really took it on long journeys. It was very much a kind of a weekend toy. And for a while it lived in there, in that very garage there, until Noddy arrived, at which point it came out. So Yes, the bodywork isn't great, but structurally it's pretty good. And then at the end of 2024, I had a significant birthday coming up at the beginning of 2025, and my family and Matt, the magician, who you know from the Skoda videos, took it upon themselves to get this back on the road as a surprise birthday present. I was very much car SOS'd. I was taken to a pub under false pretenses, and then my youngest son arrived, headlights blazing, fog lights on, almost straight from the MOT testing bay. And I was quite emotional by the fact that my family did all that behind my back. I'll tell you what, the more I look at it, the more I am falling in love with it again. It is helping, honestly, genuinely, just by looking around this car, because I did clean it the other day, it is helping. It's such a good looking thing. Am I wrong? So all was well. I remember going out for a drive 2 or 3 days later with my eldest son. He shared the drive, and it was brilliant. It was phenomenal. And all the reasons why I love this car came flooding back. You know, that 2-litre 16-valve engine is a peach. It's all at the top end, so it rewards sort of spirited driving, let's put it that way. And yeah, all was good in the world. I thought, well, not a bad start to my next decade on this planet. But the joy was short-lived, because I think a week later, I was taking it out for another drive, and the head gasket went. Yeah, of all the things that were going to go wrong, that was probably the worst. A lot of soul searching, a lot of head scratching, and genuinely couldn't afford to sort it. It also needed a cam belt, and when you combine the two, you're looking at a big figure. So it sat off-road again for another extended period while I saved up the money. Well, I saved up a little bit of money and a bit of courage to send it to Pug One Off in Oxfordshire is it Oxfordshire or the Northamptonshire? I think the Northamptonshire, to get it sorted. And it was expensive. I knew it would be. The bill was much higher than I originally thought and hoped. But on the plus side, it had a new head gasket, it had the cam belt done, it had the water pump done, had various other bits done. So in theory, I had a great car. And I made my way up to Brackley via Banbury. I think it was almost planes, trains and automobiles adventure without the plane. I experienced a joyous, in inverted commas, shopping centre in Banbury. I think they were playing Lionel Richie. And you know what? The drive home was brilliant. After a really frustrating drive out of Brackley and into Wiltshire and down to Salisbury Plain, it all became fantastic again. It all became worthwhile once I hit Salisbury Plain. And yeah, from that point onwards, all the way down the A303, all the way home, I was like, yes, I can forget about the big bill. I can forget about all the heartache and just enjoy it again. But another kick in the teeth. Within a couple of days of coming home, it started running really badly. I mean, lumpy isn't the word. 3 cylinders, sometimes 2, a really erratic idle. And that's after having the idle control valve sorted. It was kind of one of those, oh God, here we go again. But then disaster struck again, family medical emergency. I'm not going to go into details, but for 2 months, that's all I did. That's all I spent time, is going in and out of hospitals. Not me personally, actually would have preferred that, but it was horrible. But I'm not going to labour that point. But it meant that the fleet took a back seat. The Xsara just got mothballed again. And I didn't even look at my cars until Christmas. With the MOT looming, I enlisted the help of Matt to do the welding, which was under the ABS pump under the engine bay. Pretty bad hole, actually. I didn't realise that was going to be a structural problem on these. And also needed an alternator, and which again, because of what was going on in my life, I just left that to Matt. I'm really pleased I did, because apparently he said it was a nightmare job, not something he wants to do again. But I drove it home from him, and again, still the lumpy idle. So the net result is the MOT expired in January, which is, I think, is always one of those worst things, isn't it? Once the MOT is expired, it becomes harder to get something sorted. This just became an obstacle to getting things done. Every time I look at this car, I think of sort of financial disaster, failure, guilt, shame, that it's not done. And it's like, how much further do you go? How much more money to spend? this car's become a bit of an obstacle, a bit of a mental block, if you like. You know, how much further do you go? And what it's done is sort of knocked my confidence in getting the other cars sorted. And so the problem I've got now is it's become a sort of a baby poo yellow obstacle. And it's kind of like I look at my cars now and thinking, which one do I need to fix rather than which one can I enjoy? And that is becoming a problem. It's almost becoming a headache rather than a hobby. Now, yes, I could just sell it. And weirdly, I've had more offers or more sort of requests for first refusal on this car than any other car I've owned. Only today I've had an Instagram message saying, if you want to move it on, I am your man. But I can't do that. So I started this video by saying, don't watch it. So I know you're not there now, and that's fine. I hope Harry Hill's TV Burp is as good as I remember it. But what are the next steps? Well, obviously I've got to diagnose the running issue. I've got to get it for an MOT. And then really, I suppose, once it has got an MOT, is just spend a weekend driving it and then just seeing if I can rekindle that love. Because when I do drive this and when it's on the song, it's probably one of my favourite cars. So even though I've fallen out of love with it, I don't think I'm ready to give up on it yet. The question is though, can I ever fall in love with it again? Answers on the postcard to the usual address. And thanks for sharing this therapy session for me. Thanks for watching. Take care.